Right, I'd now like to welcome Ruth Rothmaler, sorry, I was about to mispronounce it, who is from Delivery Hero in Germany, and she's going to be talking about democratizing research at a startup, and it's a really interesting story. So off you go, Ruth. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. So my company, Delivery Hero, was kind of born out of the Berlin startup scene, and we're a tech company at heart, and we have a pretty strong bias towards quantitative data. And also, believe it or not, there are still many decisions being made on just assumptions rather than evidence, and many of those assumptions are around the reasons that we think are behind the behaviors that we see in our quantitative data. So, to counterbalance that, I started focusing on establishing our internal qualitative research practice to put more focus on the humans behind our data points and to find the real reasons for the behaviors that we were seeing. So today, I want to share how we turned user research from this weird, strange, foreign silo into a widely shared practice, and how this actually helps us to develop better solutions for our customers and our business. And I think you will probably see some parallels to Sarah's talk. I want to start with a story about one of our colleagues. I will call him Matt for privacy reasons. So last summer, we invited a couple of new customers to test one of our apps, and Matt joined us to observe the sessions. After repeatedly hearing the feedback that there was so much distraction going on in the onboarding process that it was really hard to actually focus on ordering food, Matt had heard enough and he left. He left and walked over to the responsible team, discussed possible improvements with them, and they actually implemented changes that very same day. Seeing our customers' struggles firsthand jolted Matt into action, and because he knew what we could improve while still supporting our business goals, we were able to come up with a solution that was much better for both our customers and our business, and we were able to do this pretty quickly. Now, when we started Delivery Hero 8 years ago, this kind of magic would not have been possible. Back then, user research and all other kinds of insights generation were one of my many responsibilities as the first product manager at the company, next to product visioning, roadmap planning, backlog grooming, and all of those really important things. So I was just slugging away there in my little corner with barely enough time to conduct research or even share insights in any meaningful way. So the few insights that I did generate, they directed my work, but they mostly just stayed with me as well. And if I did manage to write a long report, it kind of just sat in everyone's inbox, because who has time to read a report when you're busy building a company, right? So with very little time available, research was more like a sporadic thing. And we mostly talked to friends and random people we could find at Starbucks, and rarely to our core customer profiles. So we were getting some answers on general usability issues, but we didn't get any closer to our core customer base. Now here, I want to ask you guys a question. Who of you has heard directly from customers that something in a campaign or product should be improved? Can I see a quick show of hands? Okay, a few. And now, please only raise your hand if you found it easy to convince others that had not been there that these improvements needed to be prioritized. No one. Okay, well, I can relate, because for us, this was also really, really hard. So, in the rare occasions that we actually sat with our customers and we saw how they struggled with our products, it was really hard for us to convince others that hadn't been there that we needed to prioritize some improvements. because they hadn't seen it, and for them, the struggle just wasn't real. And it would have been also so inconvenient to change plans and focus on improvements when we're already struggling to execute our roadmap. Also, many details just got lost because it was maybe me and one other person conducting the research, and of course we had a certain filter of what we thought was relevant or what wasn't. And worst of all, we made so many decisions based on assumptions rather than data, because generating the data that we would have needed to make a better decision was so hard and so much work that we mostly didn't even try. So when I joined the German team 2 years ago, the situation was still pretty similar, but we decided that it was really time to invest more in user research, and we've come a pretty long way since then. Today, everyone on the German team, and especially product managers, designers, and developers, can participate in research, and the insights we generate are a topic of daily conversation. Product managers and designers are directly involved in defining learning goals, writing interview scripts, usability testing tasks, preparing prototypes, and designers, product managers, and engineers come together to observe research sessions, to discuss findings, and to ideate solutions. And after a full day of research, they now go back to their teams, their team members that maybe couldn't make it that day, and they're full of stories and are just waiting to share what we discovered together. Empathy for our customers is now shared by a diverse group of people, and details hardly get lost anymore because all these people just have different perspectives, they look at different things, and then they bring their perspective back to the table when we analyze findings and look for better solutions. And decision makers don't really have to be convinced anymore, because more than likely they were there when it happened. They sat with our customers, they saw how they struggled with our products, and maybe they also just discovered new problems that we could be solving, but we didn't know about. Now they are directly inspired by our findings, and they take action. Just like Matt took action on improving the onboarding flow right away. Also, we can now make so many decisions based on evidence rather than assumptions, because it's much easier now to generate the data that we need, and existing insights are also more easily available. And last but not least, since empathy for our customers is now shared by such a diverse group of people that also have an eclectic sense of what's feasible and important to the business, we can now develop much better solutions that work just as well for our business as for our customers. And Matt's improvement of the onboarding flow is a pretty good example for that. Now, all of this did not happen overnight, and it wasn't always easy, let me tell you. But now that we have arrived at this point, we can identify some key building blocks that helped us get here. So first, we invested a lot of time and effort and also hired new team members to make research more accessible, frictionless, and easily repeatable. In the course of the last year, we went from a team of 1 to a team of 4, and we solved how we recruit the right customers for each study with the help of our own customer panel and an agency in case we needed additional support. We also developed a set of tools and templates that we can use again and again to save loads of time. And we can now run a full day of research every 2 weeks, and our 5 cross-functional teams alternate to run their research with our support. Our goal is to get our team members as close to customers as possible, and we will support them with as much or as little as they need to do that. We openly share our tools and techniques and are happy to coach really anyone who wants to get in the mix. Usually, we prepare research materials together, then the research team takes care of test candidate recruiting and other logistics, and then it really depends on the situation and especially language capabilities, who conducts the actual sessions. If our team members do not talk to customers directly, they observe sessions via video stream, and for those that can't make it that day, we share video highlights afterwards. And we were recently reminded of how important it is that our team members actually see and listen to customers directly when we ran a larger exploratory study, and for different reasons, we did not have a live stream set up, and we did not share video highlights afterwards, but just presented a summary of the findings. And it's really as if this research never happened. We have to constantly remind everyone of the findings, and it's really, really hard to get the points across. Much, much harder than with other studies where everyone observed or at least saw some video. So we definitely learned a valuable lesson there. During the sessions, we have lively discussions going on in the observer room, and we usually have someone there to translate the most important aspects for our non-German team members and to give some context with insights from other studies. And when all the sessions are completed, we come back together for a debriefing session, discussing what we learned that day, the opportunities we discovered, and how we might improve. We've also made it much easier to access our existing insights. So after every study is completed, we take our post-its and we put them up on our wall, and everyone can just come by and for a recap of the findings. And we created a database where anyone can go in and access any of our existing insights with just a few clicks, complete with pain points and video highlights and direct customer comments from all of our qualitative studies, plus any quantitative insights we might have, like funnel analysis or experiment results. To give you an example, we had gotten some comments here and there on our Burger King integration, and we just entered all these insights into our database. And then later when we came around and we actually wanted to improve that very same integration, we could pull up all of our insights and just use them to inform further steps. So no more digging in our own memory or sifting through a whole pile of reports or losing half of our information when someone leaves the company. Now it's all there in the database, neatly tagged with features and screens and personas, and broken down into the smallest possible chunks, and nothing gets lost anymore. And of course, we spend so much time just sharing our findings and evangelizing the general value in our eye of user research in company all hands and one-on-one conversations, stand-ups, and really every other meeting that will have us. However, it does get easier now because many of our team members have already been there and have heard about our research and have participated in some of the studies. So now it actually turns around and they're curious to hear more and start approaching us for more insights from other studies. And with that, I have come to the end of our story for now. Thank you very much.
I'm loving these ladies. They're really, really rocking the timing. Does anyone have any questions now? There's a roving mic. Stick your hand up if you do. If you don't, I do. Oh, there's one here. Thank you.
How do you ensure quality of interviewing if you're democratizing the interviewing process?
Yeah, so, well, right now, naturally, because my team is the only German speakers in the company, and we're trained, so we conduct most of the interviews, but we just recently actually had an interview workshop, interview coaching, to train more of our team members in the skills, so they can actually start going out and do their own.
And can I also add to that? I mean, it's kind of a little scary for some people to sort of really let go this much, and you know, we get very hung up on in the insights industry onto, you know, robust samples and, you know, valid methodologies and, you know, ensuring it's all, but it's kind of putting it all into the hands of your teams. Have you had any problems with that? Have people, you know, questioned the validity of any of the material, or has it been easygoing?
Yeah, I mean, since we're such a quantitative organization, we do struggle with that, and we always have to think about how we communicate certain things. But if we have no idea about the reasons behind our customers' behavior, it's always better to have some idea of what the reasons could be. And just because we do so many sessions now, and we do interviews and usability tests, so these patterns, they reappear again and again. And if our, let's say, naysayers actually observe those sessions, they will see that happening, and that convinces them.
Yeah. And when you were starting out, you know, you lone wolf, you know, all on your own with your headphones and your computer and not sharing and engaging. I mean, what do you think if someone is in that situation? What do you think would be the first thing that they should do to try and sort of break out from that situation and get into a sharing, democratized, iterative culture like this?
Yeah. Well, I spent years just talking about it, right? So, hey, we should do this, we should spend more time, we should at least do some usability testing. But when we actually turn around and said like, hey, you know what? We just want to make this happen. We just bring some customers here, we prepare something to test, and then make sure that everyone comes and observes and then sees how their assumptions are being shattered. And then, of course, also, once we have new insights, we make improvements based on these insights, and then we can actually show like, hey, see the return on investment on doing that, but it's a long process.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? There's one over here. Sorry, you'll have to run all the way over.
Once people have, or once you've got the insights up on the database, do you find that your team members continually re-engage with it, or is it sort of, they look on it once, they go, oh, that was some really interesting stuff, and then usage drops off? How does that work?
Well, first of all, like for every study, we also do an in-person presentation, and we discuss the findings directly. And the insights database is there for documentation. And then when we start new topics, we absolutely have engagement, yes. Then we just had a situation where we just started to act a bit more quickly on our ideas, and we just kept getting requests like, hey, can you tell me everything we have in the menu? Can you tell me everything we have on the checkout? And then we could just pull it on up, and here we go.
Okay, are there any more? No. Thank you very much, Ruth. That was brilliant.